Hello there, this video will cover installing Kali Linux on a Chromebook without rooting. Kali Linux is popular with security specialists. A Kali 2025 September 23rd update broke the Kali procedure, which has now been fixed. Additionally, the install procedure has been updated and streamlined. It is a good practice to back up Kali or any other distro once it has been successfully installed. I will have a link to my backup and restore video in the pinned comment. If you are interested in Linux on a Chromebook, then you may be interested in my playlist that will cover how to install and set up a Linux desktop on a Chromebook without rooting. The procedure in this video uses the built-in Linux feature on a Chromebook. So we are going to use the Chromebook as is in the stable channel without any rooting, power washing, or developer mode. It is important that the Chromebook is in the stable channel. If you have taken it off the stable channel, then put it back. If you don't know what that means, then you're good to go. Also, if you ever want to remove Linux completely or start over, then it can be removed by clicking on the Remove button from Chromebook settings, which I will show later in the video. The full install instructions, including all of the commands and any potential updates, will be in the pinned comment for this video. So if you scroll down to the comments of the current video you are watching now, you will see the top pinned comment containing the written instructions. To see the whole comment, click on Read More. Any updates will be noted at the top of the pinned comment. Note that you can copy and paste the notes into a text file like I have here with the mousepad text editor. Or, if you're feeling fancy, we can copy and paste the notes into a TiddlyWiki notebook, also known as Flexible Offline Searchable Notes. Here, I pressed the backtick key from the top left of the keyboard so that there are 3 backticks before and after the text. This will apply monospaced block formatting. Keep in mind that you can modify the notes however you'd like, whether that's formatting, adding images, or changing what's in the notes. For more information on TiddlyWiki, I recommend watching my TiddlyWiki videos. For the overall install, we will first start with a fresh Linux container install. After that, we will edit the repository so that it points to Kali. Once we've done that, we will update Linux in order to turn the container into Kali. After that, we will download some software, and then we will create a launch script that we will use to start up the desktop. Once we have the desktop running, we will do some configurations and fixes. Lastly, I will show how to properly shut down Linux on a Chromebook. This video covers the ins and outs of running Kali in the Google container environment. For example, failure of shutting down the container is the equivalent of shutting down a PC by unplugging it. To install the Linux container, we can open up Chromebook Settings, and from the list on the left side, we can click on About Chrome OS. And then under Developers, next to Linux Development Environment, we can click on the Setup button. Then from the window that comes up for setting up the Linux Development Environment, we can click on the Next button. From here, we can set the username to whatever we would like, and we can set the disk size. The disk size is the amount of storage being taken from the Chrome OS side and being set aside for Linux. If we'd like, we can set a custom disk size. Note that the disk size can be adjusted at any time from Chromebook settings. For my example, I'm just going to go with the recommended 10 gigs. Once we are done setting that all up, we can click on the Install button. The install should just take a couple of minutes. Now we are installing Debian in Google's container environment in a virtual machine running under Chrome OS. After the install, we will be converting Debian into Kali. When the install is done, a terminal app will open. From here, the first thing we can do for convenience is pin the terminal app to the bottom shelf on our Chromebook so that it stays in the bottom shelf. To do that, we can right-click on the terminal app. Note that a right-click on a Chromebook is a 2-finger click on the mousepad. From here, we can select Pin. Now, even if we close out of the terminal app, it will stay on the bottom shelf. We can also temporarily make the terminal text bigger by doing Ctrl+ on our keyboard. To make the text smaller, we can do Ctrl-. In the terminal, if we type in cat/etc/os-release and press enter, we can see that we are running Debian. So we are going to convert Debian into Kali. The closer a Debian-derived distro is to Debian, the more likely a procedure like this will work. Note that questions are always welcomed and encouraged. If you encounter an issue during this procedure, create a new comment. Please don't post questions under the pinned comment or under another user's comment because it makes it difficult for me to find and answer questions. Also, to help me help you, please include the last command you executed or a description of what you were doing along with any messages and errors that you see. Additionally, if you experience internet connection issues during this procedure, then we can restart the network in Linux by executing sudo space systemctl space restart space networking. Now, if the internet drops during an install and if apt provides a fix command, then we can restart the network in Linux, execute the fix command, and then re-execute the install command that failed. For example, if the internet dropped while doing a full dash upgrade and apt suggested running sudo space apt space dash dash fix dash broken space install space dash y, then we would restart the network by executing sudo space systemctl space restart space networking, and then we would execute sudo space apt space dash dash fix dash broken space install space dash y. After that, we would re-execute sudo space apt space full dash upgrade space dash y. Now back to the terminal. The first command we are going to execute is sudo space apt space update space dash y. This will update the software index list. The dash y at the end gets rid of the extra step of confirming that we want to update. Remember that all of the commands used in this video will be in the pinned comment, which we can use for copying and pasting. After that, we are going to execute sudo space apt space install space nano space dash y. This will install the nano text editor. Here I did Ctrl-L to clear the terminal so it's easier to see what I'm typing. Now for our next command, we are going to execute sudo space cp space /etc /apt /sources.list space /etc /apt /sources.list.bak. This will make a copy of the sources.list file, and the copy will be named sources.list.bak. So now we have something to go back to in case we need it. After that, we can execute sudo space nano space /etc /apt /sources.list. This will open the sources.list file with nano. From here, we're going to comment out all of the lines by prefixing each line with a pound sign. The pound sign comments out the lines so they are ignored. After that, we are going to add the Kali repository by entering in deb space left square bracket trusted = yes right square bracket space https://http.kali.org/kali space kali-last-snapshot space main space contrib space non-free. When we are done typing that in, we can press enter out of good practice, and then we can do Ctrl-O, enter, and then Ctrl-X to save the file and exit nano. Now we are going to update. To do that, we will first execute sudo space apt space update space dash y. This will update the list of available packages so that it points to Kali. Note that we can ignore the GPG warning. After that, we can do sudo space apt space full dash upgrade space dash y. This will upgrade the system by removing, installing, and upgrading packages, and this is what's going to turn Debian into Kali. When the upgrade is done, we can do cat space /etc/os-release, and now we can see we are using Kali. Next, we are going to download some software. For our first install, we will do sudo space apt space install space kali-defaults space -y. This will give various default settings in Kali. For our next install, we will do sudo space apt space install space kali-desktop-xfce space -y space -o space dpkg : options : equal sign double quote -- force overwrite double quote. This will give us the XFCE desktop for Kali Linux. The end of this command sets the option to force overwrite, which will ensure the desktop will install. After that, we are going to edit the sources.list file again by doing sudo space nano space /etc/apt/sources.list. From here, we're going to get rid of the trusted equal yes, including the square brackets, because it is not needed anymore. Once we've done that, we can do Ctrl-O, Enter, and then Ctrl-X to save the file and exit nano. Because we edited the sources.list file, we are going to do one more sudo space apt space update space -y. Now for our next install, we will do sudo space apt space install space synaptic space -y. This is for installing software in a GUI-based interface. After that, we will do sudo space apt space install space xserver-zephyr space -y. This is what we are going to use to hold the desktop together. After that, we are going to execute sudo space apt space install space calc space -y. When we create the launch script that will start up the desktop, it will use calc for calculating the resolution so that we can scale the desktop. Next, we are going to do sudo space apt space install space kali-wallpapers-2024 space -y. This will give us some more Kali wallpapers that we can use. And for our next install, we will execute sudo space apt space install space ffmpeg space -y. This will help us later on with changing the desktop wallpaper. Now for the final install, we will do sudo space apt space install space notification-daemon space -y. This is what we are going to use to fix notifications. Before we create the launch script for starting up the desktop, we will first set the Linux passwords and fix notifications. To do that, we can first do Ctrl-L to clear the terminal so it's easier to see what we are typing. To set the Linux passwords, we will first execute who am I without any spaces. This will print out our user ID. After that, we can execute sudo space passwd space our user ID. From here we can set the password for the user ID. Keep in mind that the password will not be visible as we are typing it, and we will need to type it in twice. After that, we can execute sudo space passwd space root. This is for setting the password for root. Again, we will not see our password as we are typing it, and we will need to type it in twice. Next, we are going to fix notifications. To do that, we can first execute mkdir space ~/hold. The tilde in here represents the home directory. So this will make a folder called hold in the home directory. After that, we will execute cd space /etc/xdg/autostart. This will take us to the /etc/xdg/autostart file path. From here, we will do sudo space mv space xfce4-notifyd.desktop space ~/hold/. This will move the xfce4 notification.desktop file into the hold folder we just created. Once we've done that, we will execute cd/usr/share/applications. This will take us to the /usr/share/applications file path. From here, we are going to do sudo cp notification-daemon.desktop /etc/xdg/autostart/. This will copy that notification daemon that we installed earlier into the /etc/xdg/autostart file path, so now we will have functional notifications. Next, we are going to create the launch script that we are going to use to start up the XFCE desktop. To do that, we are going to execute sudo nano /usr/bin/gox. This will create a file called gox in the /usr/bin file path. Gox stands for Go XFCE, and it can be named whatever you would like. I'm naming this script gox because it is easier to type and find. From here, I recommend copying and pasting the gox script from the pinned comment. To do that, we can open a browser and go to the video you are currently watching now. From here, we can scroll down to the comment section where there will be a top pinned comment that contains the written instructions. To see the whole comment, click on Read More. From here, we can scroll down to the Install and Set up XFCE Desktop section where the desktop launch script will be. Then from here, we can highlight the script, do Ctrl-C to copy it. Then after that, we can go back to our terminal. To paste text into the terminal, we can do Ctrl-Shift-V. From here, in the second half of the script, all we need to do is replace user ID, including the angle brackets, so that it is our actual user ID. The user ID is what comes before the @penguin in the terminal. This script gives us the ability to scale the desktop by percent, height, width, or by a default percent. For an in-depth explanation of this script, I recommend watching my Linux desktop scaling on a Chromebook video, which I will have linked in the pinned comment. Once we are done creating the script, we can do Ctrl-O, Enter, and then Ctrl-X to save the file and exit Nano. All we have left to do to the script is sudo chmod +x /usr/bin/gox. This will make the gox script executable so that we can use it. Before we start up the desktop, we are first going to right-click on the terminal app in the bottom shelf, select Shut Down Linux, and once Linux has shut down, we can close out of the terminal app, then shut down the Chromebook, restart the Chromebook, then open the terminal app again, select Penguin, and wait a few moments for the terminal to start up. Once the terminal has started up, we can execute the gox script by typing in gox, press enter, and then we can wait a few moments for the desktop to start up. After a few seconds, we will get an XFCE desktop running Kali Linux on a Chromebook. Now how cool is that? Now if we want, we can scale the desktop. So without having to shut down Linux, we can go back to the terminal app, and to scale the desktop by a percent, we can execute gox the percent we would like. For my example, I am doing 150, so the scale of my desktop will be 150%. After the desktop starts up, we can see that everything in my example is much larger than it was before. Now, if we want to scale the desktop by height, we can go back to the terminal app again, and this time we can execute gox h the height we would like. For my example, I will be setting the height to 1080. Now this time, when my desktop starts up, everything is smaller than it was before. Finally, if we want to scale the desktop by width, we can go back to the terminal app, and this time we can execute gox w the width we would like. For my example, I will be setting the width to 1200. Now when my desktop starts up, we can see that everything is a bit more reasonably sized for my example. Now to scale the desktop by a default %, we would just execute gox like we did before when we first started up the desktop. In the script, the default % is set to 100%. In other words, the desktop will not be scaled. To change the default %, we could edit the gox script, and in the first half of the script under the default % comment, we can change the value of the % variable. Now that we have the desktop running, we are going to make some configurations. First up, let's change the wallpaper. Now, normally, to change the wallpaper, we would right-click anywhere inside the desktop, and then we would select Desktop Settings, where we would then normally be able to change the wallpaper to whatever we would like. If Desktop Settings is broken, then we can instead create a script for changing the wallpaper. To do that, we can click on the Terminal emulator from the left side of the top panel to open up a terminal. To temporarily adjust the terminal text size, we can do Ctrl-Shift+ to make the text bigger, and to make the text smaller, we can do Ctrl-. Now from the terminal, we will first execute cd/usr/share/backgrounds/Kali. This will take us to the file path where the Kali wallpapers are located. From here, we will execute sudo cp kali-tiles-16x9.jpg keep.jpg. This will create a copy of the default wallpaper and it will be named keep.jpg. After that, we will do sudo nano/usr/bin/go back. This will create a file called go back in the /usr/bin file path. Again, I recommend copying and pasting the go back script from the pinned comment. To paste text into the terminal, we can do Ctrl-Shift-V. In this script, the first line will navigate to the folder containing the Kali wallpapers. Keep in mind that any non-Kali wallpapers will need to be copied into this file path. After that, the first if block will check if the image that we give the script is a .png or .jpeg file. Note that the image we give the script is represented by $1. If the image is a .png or .jpeg file and there is no .jpg version of the image, then the script will use ffmpeg to convert the image into a .jpg image. After that, the second if block checks to see if the given image exists as a .jpg file. If the file exists, then the current file with the default wallpaper name of kali-tiles-16x9.jpg is deleted, and it is replaced with a copy of the wallpaper we want. Once that's done, this script will force the desktop manager to quit and restart so that the background updates with the wallpaper we chose. Finally, if the given image does not exist, then the message "image not found" will be printed out. Once we are done with this script, we can do Ctrl-O, Enter, and Ctrl-X to save the file and exit Nano. After that, we can do sudo chmod+x/usr/bin/go back to make the script executable. Now we can change the wallpaper. Since we are still in the file path with the Kali wallpapers, I'm going to do ls to list everything. Now to set the wallpaper, we can execute go back the name of the image without the file extension, which for my example is Kali-ferrofluid-16x9. Then after a moment, we can see that the desktop background has successfully changed. Next, we are going to disable the screensaver and lock screen so that our screen doesn't go dark and lock us out when we are inactive. To do that, we can go to the menu from the top left, and near the bottom right of the menu, we can click on the Settings Manager button. Then from the settings window that comes up, we can click on XFCE Screensaver. After that, from the Screensaver tab, we can toggle off Enable Screensaver. From here, we can also disable the lock screen by going to the Lock Screen tab, and toggle off Enable Lock Screen. Once we've done that, we can click on the Close button. Now we are going to delete a couple of things from the top panel. First, we are going to delete the Logout button from the top right because it will cause issues. To remove the Logout button, we can right-click on the Logout button from the top panel, select Remove, and then click on the Remove button to confirm that we want to get rid of the Logout button. Next, we will remove the notification bell from the top right because the notification daemon we installed earlier replaces it. To do that, we can right-click on the notifications bell near the top right of the panel, select Remove, and then click on the Remove button to confirm that we want to remove it from the top panel. If we'd like, we can verify that notifications are working by opening up a terminal, and then from a terminal we can execute notify-send test. This should make a notification appear on the top right. From here we can close the notification, and then we can also close out of the terminal. Lastly, we will remove the root terminal emulator from the panel because it will also cause issues. To do that, we can right-click on the terminal emulator from the top left of the panel, select Properties, and then in the launcher window that comes up, we can select the root terminal emulator, click on the dash button on the right side, and then click on the Remove button to confirm that we want to remove the root terminal emulator. Once we've done that, we can click on the Close button in the launcher window. Next, I am going to show an example of how to use Synaptic Package Manager to install software. Synaptic Package Manager is available from the menu and in Usual Applications. In the System category, we can see Synaptic Package Manager. Before I open Synaptic Package Manager, I'm going to add it to the top panel for convenience by right-clicking on it and selecting Add to Panel. I'm then going to move it by right-clicking on Synaptic Package Manager, and then I'm going to select Move, where I'm then going to place it next to the other apps. So now I can conveniently open Synaptic by clicking on it from the top panel. When Synaptic opens, we can click on the Close button in the Quick Introduction window, and then we can make Synaptic full screen. It's a good practice whenever we open up Synaptic that we update the list of available packages by clicking on the Reload button from the top left, and wait a few moments for Synaptic to reload. When Synaptic has finished reloading, we can then install some software. In Synaptic, the list on the left side shows different categories of software by default. This can be useful when browsing for software. Alternatively, we can click the Search button from the top right to do a more specific search for software. For this example, I am going to install the Terminal System Display Neo WO Fetch, a game called Frozen Bubble, and another game called X-Shogi. Note these are just examples and you do not have to install any of these. To do that, we can click on the Search button from the top right, and then we are going to search by name by clicking on the Look-In pull-down and select Name. Once we've done that, we can search for Neo WO Fetch. Generally, searching by description and name is more effective for browsing software. For the purposes of this video, we are searching by name because we already know the name of the program. When Neo WO Fetch comes up, we can right-click on it, select Mark for Installation, and click on the Mark button for the additional required changes. After that, in order to install Neo WO Fetch, we need to click on the Apply button, and then click on Apply again to confirm the install. When the install is done, we can click on the Close button in the Changes Applied window. We are now going to repeat this process to install Frozen Bubble and X-Shogi. Like we just did before, we are going to click on the Search button, and then search by name for Frozen-Bubble. When Frozen Bubble comes up, we can right-click on it, select Mark for Installation, click on the Mark button for the additional required changes. Then to install Frozen Bubble, we can click on the Apply button, and then click on Apply again to confirm the install. When the install is done, we can click on the Close button in the Changes Applied window. Finally, to install the game X-Shogi, we can click on the search button from the top right, search by name for X-Shogi, then in the search results we can right-click on X-Shogi, select Mark for installation, and then we can click on the Mark button for the additional required changes. After that, to install X-Shogi, we can click on the Apply button near the top left, and then we can click on the second Apply button to confirm the install. When that's done installing, we can click on the Close button in the Changes Applied window, and then we can close out of Synaptic. To use the system display we just installed, we can open up a terminal by clicking on the Terminal emulator from the top left, and from the terminal we can execute neo-wo fetch. When we execute this, we will get a nice display that shows system information. To play the Frozen Bubble game, we can open it from the menu and from Usual Applications. In the Games category, we can click on Frozen Bubble and then give it a few moments to load up. When Frozen Bubble starts up, we can make it full screen by pressing the F key on our keyboard. Whenever we are done playing with Frozen Bubble, we can end the game by pressing the Escape key and then press the Enter key. Then to close out of Frozen Bubble, we can press the Escape key. To open the game X-Shogi, we can go to the menu, and in Usual Applications, we can go into the Games section, and then we can click on X-Shogi. Here for my example, we can see that the game pieces have blocky symbols that are harder to read. So if an app has resolution or performance issues like in this example, we can try scaling the desktop. For X-Shogi, I recommend a height of 850. So to scale the desktop, we can go back to the Chrome OS Terminal app, and then we can execute go x space h space 850. So now the height of our desktop will be 850. Now if we reopen X-Shogi from the menu, we should see that the symbols are much more clear than they were before. Next, I am going to show how to shut down Linux on a Chromebook. To properly shut down Linux, we have to right-click on the Terminal app in the bottom shelf, select Shut Down Linux, wait a moment or two for the desktop to close and for Linux to shut down, and when Linux has shut down, we can close the Terminal app. To start Linux back up and get the desktop running again, we can open up the Terminal app, select Penguin, wait a few moments for the terminal to start up, and then when the terminal has started up, we can execute the gox script, and after a few moments we will have the desktop. If you encounter an issue such as the terminal stuck loading for more than 10 minutes, or the desktop won't start up, or there's some other issue, then the general fix for this is to shut down Linux, reboot the Chromebook, put the Chromebook online, then start up Linux, and if Linux starts up, then try starting up the desktop. Often, when Chrome OS updates, Linux will get an update as well, which is why for the general fix, we put the Chromebook online. For a neat party trick, we can transform our desktop with Kali Undercover. Before we do that, we currently need to fix Kali Undercover. To do that, we can open up a terminal, and then we can execute sudo space cp space /usr/bin/kali-undercover space /usr/bin/kali-undercover.bak. This will create a copy of the kali-undercover file, and it will be named kali-undercover.bak. So now we have something to go back to in case we need it. After that, we can execute sudo space mousepad space /usr/bin/kali-undercover. This will open the kali-undercover file with the mousepad text editor. From the kali-undercover file, we can comment out lines 3 through 7 by prefixing them with a £sign. This will prevent issues with it checking to see if the desktop is an XFCE desktop. After that, we are going to add 4 lines below the line that starts with enable_undercover. I recommend copying and pasting these lines from the pinned comment. Here the mv move command will rename the current wallpaper to hold.jpg. The cp command copies the Kali undercover wallpaper into the same place where the current wallpaper is, and it names the copy Kali-tiles-16x9.jpg. Then the last two lines force the desktop to quit and then restart so that the background updates. Finally, under the line that starts with disable_undercover, we will add another 4 lines. Again, I recommend copying and pasting these lines from the pinned comment. Here, the rm command will delete the copy of the Kali undercover wallpaper, and the mv move command will rename the hold wallpaper back to Kali-tiles-16x9.jpg. And again, we force the desktop to quit and restart so that the background updates and returns to our normal wallpaper. Once we are done making those edits, we can go to the File menu, select Save, then we can close out of Mousepad and the terminal. Now we can use Kali Undercover by going to the menu, search for Kali-Undercover, click on Kali-Undercover, and the desktop will be transformed. How fun is that? When we want the Kali desktop back, we can open the menu from the bottom left this time, search for Kali-Undercover, and then click on Kali-Undercover, and within a few moments we will get our Kali desktop back. Finally, I am going to show how to change the command prompt so it has a Kali style. To do that, we can open a terminal, and from the terminal we can first execute ls-a. This will list all the files and folders in the current directory we are in. Among the files we should see a .bashrc file. After that we can execute mv .bashrc hold.bashrc. This will rename the .bashrc file to hold.bashrc. Once we've done that, we can then execute sudo cp /root/.bashrc /. This will create a copy of the .bashrc file from the root directory, and it will be placed in the home directory. After that, we can execute ls-a again, and from here we should see the .bashrc file that we renamed to hold.bashrc, and then we should also see the .bashrc file that we copied over. Now that we've done all that, we can close out of the terminal, then we can open the terminal again, and now we should have a Kali-style command prompt. For more documentation on Kali, we can open up Firefox from the top panel, and in Firefox there are a bunch of bookmarks on the top that are related to Kali. The first bookmark is a link to the official Kali website. The next link takes us to the documentation for various Kali tools, which is from the Kali website. After that, we have a link to the official Kali documentation, which is also from the Kali website. Next, we have the Kali forums, which again is from the Kali website. And the last link from the Kali website takes us to all the different ways that we can get Kali, including installer images, virtual machines, live images, Kali NetHunter Pro for mobile devices, and more. After that, we have a bookmark for the exploit database website, and then we have a link to the Google hacking database, which is also from the exploit database website. Finally, we have a link to the OffSec learning platform. Depending on the tools being used in Kali, it may be necessary to open ports. Ports can be opened by going to Chromebook Settings, and from the list on the left side, we can click on About Chrome OS, and under Developers, we can click on Linux Development Environment, and from here we can click on Port Forwarding, which is where we can add ports. Now, Kali has rolling updates, which has the potential to break Kali. If it does break, the best solution may be to reinstall Kali. Note that Linux can be removed at any time from Chromebook settings, so you never have to power wash your Chromebook. So if you want or need to remove Linux, it can be removed from the Linux development environment part of Chromebook settings, where we can click on the Remove button. If you are new to using the Kali Linux command line, I highly recommend downloading the Advanced Bash Scripting Guide. It's a beginner-friendly book that assumes no previous knowledge of scripting or programming and has lots of examples, which is what I really like about the book. All we have to do is install abs-guide, and then we can open it from the Firefox browser by going to file://usr/doc/abs-guide/html/index.html. I recommend bookmarking this for convenience. If you enjoyed this video, then you may be interested in the companion book to this video, the Chromebook Guide to Google Linux. And other than that, see you soon!